Here's my final wrap on the GWM. Even though it doesn't say it anywhere, this is a great wall. And I was fascinated to try one of these. Thank you very much, West Point, because basically people are raving about them. Some people hate them, some people love them. And the reality is most of the people who love them are the ones who've bought them. Now, it's completely different to old generation GWM, and if anything, this is exactly where the dual cab market is going. If it's not there already, it's on its way real quick. Okay, so we're talking about an incredibly high level of electronics. This one has an electric gear shifter, it has an electric handbrake, it has electric pretty much everything. And what that means is that with a button start and everything else, you don't actually have an ignition you can switch on. So little things like opening the windows, switching the radio on, stuff like that, the motor's got to be running. You can't unlock the handbrake or take it out of park without the motor running. This is all good and well for probably most people in most situations. As far as the city goes, it's awesome. And as far as city-to-city transport goes, it's awesome. It's got rear disc brakes, it's got buckets of go, it's a good gearbox, you know, in an environment full of 8, 9, 10-speed automatics and stuff like that. This one's 8-speed is as good as they come. The cruise control's awesome. It does the bump steering thing. I don't know if that's going to be any use to you out the other side of Roma, but, you know, I don't like it myself. Look, I guess my problem here is my problem, okay? And really, if you want to build your own vehicles, like I have always done, but I don't want to next time, it's going to cost you a lot of money and a lot of time, and you're going to wind up with exactly what you want, nice and simple. But if you want to buy something new, take it from me. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's going to have a whole lot of the same components made in China or whatever. And all the dual cabs now, none of them are made in Japan. They're either made in Argentina or in Thailand or in India. So it's pretty much, you know, the same technology. We're going to be seeing more and more and more of it coming through. Why is that? Because it's a whole lot cheaper to have an electronic handbrake and an electronic gear shift than it is to have cables and rods and operating mechanisms, stuff like that. Electronics has just become dirt cheap. And of course, they can call it a feature and tell you it's marketing. Look, at the end of the day, this thing's been economical. It's been awesome to cruise around in. It's great in the city. Off-road, it's got traction control and a rear locking diff and a decent enough low range. And I'd sit it somewhere in the middle of all the dual cabs. It's the same problem with all of them. They hang up on the rear section, you know, if they've got a tub. This one's as good as most and better than some, you know. That's where it fits. Can you modify it in the future? Well, you know how that works. When there's enough of them around, of course you can. You know, people will be making aftermarket parts. Someone will go and do the suspension, off you go. We're off and away. That's if lots of people buy them. And I think they will, because for the money they cost, they're insane good value. And a whole lot of people aren't fooled by this, well, I'm not buying it because it's Chinese stuff, when everything is, you know, unless you build your own, like we used to in Australia once a long time ago. Don't get confused, all right? We are approaching 2021. This is the way vehicles are going to be. And the technology levels are going to be there. If you want new, you're going to be coping with it. I've had it up on the hoist. I don't have any photos to show you, but I put it up on the hoist. Amazingly, it's actually very simple mechanically. I asked a few people around, like my nephew Lockie over at Battery World. He reckons they're a doddle underneath compared to some of the other brands, because they're so simple. Now, probably that's to keep them simple to manufacture on the assembly line. But look, at the end of the day, comfort's awesome. It's got so many good things going for it, and then it starts telling you what to do. And in my case, that means things like, seatbelt buzzers and beepers and stuff. You know, we got to cope with that. But every time you get to the lights or you get into a tight situation, the screen comes on, it says, please observe the surroundings. Well, you shouldn't be looking at the screen, should you? And then it says something in Chinese too, which is probably please observe the surroundings. But the whole point is that when it does that, it also locks the radio or the media, whatever you're listening to, and it drops the volume. So in my case, if I'm listening to the news and I want to find out what's going on, all of a sudden I get to the lights, put the indicator on, volume goes down to where these old ears can't hear it anymore. And there's nothing I can do about it because you can't turn it up, you can't push the button because the screen's on. So once again, the car is telling you what to do as the driver. It does the thinking for you. Now, after a huge amount of research, and I am talking a big amount of research, I can tell you, but I'm not going to tell you how, that there is a way of shifting one of these if the engine dies, for instance, if it runs out of fuel, and automatically it's going to go into park and the brakes are going to come on, and unless you want to skull drag it onto a tow truck, you're not going to be pushing it to the next fuel station. But there is a way of doing it. You just have to find out how, and trust me, that'd be one of the questions I'd be asking. But once again, okay, I'm not just talking about GWM here. I am talking about the bulk of dual cabs. In fact, at this stage, I've tested all of them, and the only one that runs outside those parameters, that's got a little bit of simplicity and basic engineering and some old school common sense, is the Mahindra. But that's me, all right? It's not you. It's not what your wife's going to drive you home from the pub in with the bump steering and everything else, and the electric seat and all the stuff that she's just going to go over the moon over. She'll go, wow, this is better than that beep car you got me, darling. She'll probably want your car then, won't she? But look, that's up to you. This is up to you. But please, don't give me any of this, oh, I'm getting this because it's way better, and I'm getting this because it's way... In a year or two, look at the way they're swapping platforms at the moment. You know what's going on. You know about Volkswagen Amarok and Ford Ranger and Mazda BT50. You know what's going on, don't you? You know that Hiluxes are built in the same factories, in the same places. You do appreciate that 2021 is not about Holdens and 40 Series Toyotas, all right? It's a whole new world. Do you want to live in that world? Buy yourself a welder and a toolkit and get busy for 5 years. You won't have to. But apart from the 76s and 79s, and which are still made in Japan, will be for a while, I guess, they cost a fortune. They chew heaps of fuel, and at the end of the day, if I was a tradie earning a kamotza of money and driving 30 k's every day, I'd have one too because they sound great. But in the real world, no. I want to be travelling, I want economy, I want comfort, I want cup holders. I just don't know if I want that much electrics. Anyway, I'm okay because I just got the Holden registered. But I'm going to keep this testing caper up because I enjoy it. I really do. As an old journo who started in the points and carburettor days, started writing, and who mechanically never really got much past that to some degree. Mechanical fuel injection is about it, turbos and stuff. At the end of the day, to see what's going on in this new world it's fascinating. Whether you want to be part of it or not, that's up to you. But don't knock it until you've tried it.